No, I think he is a war criminal.
That was President Joe Biden on March 16, 2022, telling a reporter that he thought Russian President Putin is a war criminal. The next day, Secretary of State Antony Blinken said this.
Yesterday, President Biden said that, in his opinion, war crimes have been committed in Ukraine. Personally, I agree. Intentionally targeting civilians is a war crime. After all the destruction of the past 3 weeks, I find it difficult to conclude that the Russians are doing otherwise.
The next week, the Biden administration made it official. Secretary Blinken's March 23rd statement said, the U.S. government assesses that members of Russia's forces have committed war crimes in Ukraine. In Poland on March 25th, President Biden said it again.
The single most important thing that we can do from the outset is keep the democracies united in our opposition and our effort to curtail the devastation that is occurring at the hands of a man who I quite frankly think is a war criminal. And I think it will meet the legal definition of that as well.
Vladimir Putin is not the first leader Joe Biden thought was a war criminal. There was another one, someone whom President Biden called a damn war criminal. In this episode of C-SPAN's The Weekly, we go back to the mid-90s, Senator Joe Biden, the war in Bosnia, and Slobodan Milošević. The war in Bosnia began 30 years ago. In April 1992, Bosnian Serbs, armed and backed by neighboring Serbia, laid siege to the city of Sarajevo in Yugoslavia. It turned into an ugly conflict, fought along multiple ethnic and nationalistic lines, with ethnic cleansing and civilian massacres part of the brutal mix. On December 13, 1995, the U.S. Senate debated President Clinton's plan to deploy U.S. ground forces to Bosnia. Here's then-Senator Joe Biden, Democrat from Delaware, on the Senate floor.
Genocide. That's what it is. And now, even in our move to state what our vital interest is, this administration and others who support it are afraid to use the word. We're told we're not taking sides. I'm here to take sides. Milosevic is a war criminal, the leader of the Bosnian Serbs. He is no better than Himmler. He is no better than Goebbels. He is a war criminal. Karadzic is a war criminal. And I might add, the leader of Serbia, Milosevic, is also a war criminal, although he's the only one not indicted so far. And so I hear people stand here and say, what is our interest? What is our interest? Our interest is that history repeated itself. And let me be presumptuous enough to go on a little more what I think the next history lesson will be. The Soviet Empire has collapsed. The good news. The bad news is all the ethnic hatreds, all the ethnic fighting, all the atrocities that occurred 100 years ago and 40 years ago are now uncovered again.
You heard Senator Biden call several leaders of Bosnian Serbs war criminals. In future speeches, Slobodan Milošević in particular became central to his narrative. For instance, on March 15, 2007, the Senate debated U.S. military policy in Iraq. Senator Biden talked more about Milosevic and the time the two met.
Like many here, I was deeply, deeply involved in our Balkan policy. As my friend from Kansas may remember, I, to use the vernacular, beat President Clinton up and about the head to use force in the Balkans. I argued after encountering Milosevic 2 years before he acted in his office. When he asked me what I thought of him, I said, I think you're a damn war criminal. And I'm going to spend the rest of my career seeing you tried as one. I came back and wrote report after close to a dozen visits. I saw what was happening in Birchko, in Tuzla, in Sarajevo, in Srebrenica, and more sectarian violence in the Balkans, from Vlad the Impaler to Milosevic, than ever occurred in what is now called Iraq.
Joe Biden was a candidate for president in 2008. Among his opponents, the eventual winner, Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton. He mentioned Slobodan Milošević being a war criminal leading up to the campaign, and then on the campaign trail itself. On August 1st, 2007, Senator Biden spoke at the National Press Club. He was promoting his book, Promises to Keep, on life and politics. He read this passage from his book.
In April 1993, I traveled to Belgrade to meet Slobodan Milošević. "Come in, Senator," he said. "Let's talk." We sat down at his conference table and he talked. "You know, you got us all wrong, Senator. You got us all wrong. It's the Muslims and the Croats. It's not us. I brought up Srebrenica, a largely Muslim town that was trying like hell to hold off the Serb soldiers who were firing on civilian neighborhoods from artillery pieces that ringed the town, who were plundering the humanitarian relief effort and pummeling their convoys. No, the UN has preceded this. The recent bombings are not us. They're doing it to themselves to make us look bad." He tried to tell me that all sides in Bosnia have artillery, batteries, and tanks, including the Muslims. "Mr. Milosevic," I said, "you're the only person in the world who'd say such a ridiculous thing." Milosevic could tell that I just about had it with his lies, and at one point he looked up at me from that table about 10 o'clock at night with all those maps arrayed in front of him, and without any emotion he said, "What do you think of me?" And all I can think of was my father. I said, "I think you're a damn war criminal, and I'm going to do everything in my power to spend the rest of my life seeing as you're tried as one." He looked right back at me as if I had said to him that I thought he was a wonderful guy. It had no impact on him.
Later that month, Senator Biden attended a breakfast in Iowa, site of the first-in-the-nation presidential campaign caucuses. Here he is on August 29, 2007, telling his Milosevic story to the diners at Georgie's restaurant in Waterloo, Iowa.
As I flew over to meet with Milosevic in Belgrade, I said I would meet with him on one condition. It would not be in public, because I didn't want to give him the status of having a highly elected U.S. representative being seen shaking his hand in public, to give him that credibility. So I met with him, which was they accepted my conditions at 10 o'clock at night in his office. And I sat at a table that was no wider than this is round, a conference table in his office, and began a discussion about what was happening in Srebrenica, where there was a massacre going on. And I was convinced of it. And he went on and on with all these maps about, no, it was the Bosniaks. They were shelling themselves to get sympathy from the world. It wasn't the JNA, the Serbian army. It was, in fact, and went on and on. Finally, at one point, he could tell I was disgusted with him. And he looked at me and he said, "Senator," by the way, he had a PhD, spoke perfect English, and was a brilliant guy. Cool as a cucumber. He looked like a mafia don. This guy was very, very well dressed, very smart, and very under control. And he looked at me, Mr. Mayor, and he said, "Senator," in perfect English, "what do you think of me?" And all I could think of was my dad. And I looked at him and I said, "Mr. President, I think you're a damn war criminal. And I'm going to spend the rest of my career seeing that you are tried as one. So help me God." And there were witnesses with me at that time, two staffers, one of which is here. And he looked at me like most thugs do, and he looked at me as if I had said, "Lots of luck in your senior year." He did not move, and we went on.
On New Year's Day, January 1st, 2008, Joe Biden was in Iowa again, campaigning for the caucuses, just 2 days away. At a town hall meeting in Indianola, Iowa, he again told the story of meeting Milosevic. This time, Biden's mother was in the front row.
But ladies and gentlemen, I got on a plane and I flew directly to Belgrade to confront Slobodan Milošević. And all I could think of was Dad, Mom, when I head there. Our dinner table was a place where we incidentally ate and we talked. At that dinner plate, my dad would talk about how could the world's leaders have given Hitler the respect of meeting with him in public, of meeting with him and giving him authenticity by treating him as if he was a reasonable leader. So I agreed to meet with Milosevic on condition it had to be after 9 o'clock at night, no press, and in his office. And in the midst of a 2-hour debate with him, and he spoke perfect English and had a PhD, as my dad would say, he was smooth as glass. And we sat there at that conference table of his, and finally, after I was pointing out about the mass graves in Srebrenica and what was going on in terms of the rape camps, he looked at me and said, "Senator, what do you think of me?" And I said to the head of state, I said, "Mr. President, I think you're a damn war criminal, and I will spend the rest of my career seeing you tried as one." He leaked that. He leaked that to the world press, thinking that would make me look small, a mere senator challenging the head of state and calling him a war criminal. But he was a war criminal. And I came home, and it took me 2 years. No one was with me initially. It took me 2 years to convince my colleagues and President Clinton to use force to stop the genocide in Europe. And we stopped it, and we did not lose a single American soldier in combat.
Vice President Biden spoke at the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia on July 27, 2016. Before beginning his remarks, they played a video of his political career. The video included archived footage of Joe Biden speaking on the Senate floor.
Genocide in Bosnia challenged the world. Joe Biden spoke out.
What's going on is an atrocity. This guy's a thug, a war criminal. It's truly a shame what we're allowing to happen. We're acting collectively as the free world like cowards.
Now a history footnote. The Bosnia War ended on December 14, 1995, the day after our first clip from Joe Biden speaking on the Senate floor. What happened to Slobodan Milošević? In 1999, Milosevic was charged with war crimes in connection with the Bosnian War. He was indicted by the UN's International Criminal Tribunal in The Hague. In June 2001, Serb leaders turned him over to the tribunal. Joe Biden discussed the extradition during a June 28, 2001 press conference. Biden was then chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Again, he mentioned that he had once called Milosevic a damn war criminal.
In 1993, in the spring of 93, I personally met with Milosevic late into the night in his office with Mr. Karadzic, another war criminal who is still at large in the Republic of Srpska, and with two of my staffers. At one point, Slobodan Milošević, who was as cool as a cucumber, as we Americans would say, leaned across his small conference table and said in impeccable English, "Senator, what do you think of me?" And I told him I thought he was a damn war criminal and that he should be tried as such. And I would spend the rest of my political career trying to see that happen. He just looked at me like I said to him, "Lots of luck in your senior year. No problem." Because I think he was confident that the old Europe would prevail and the accountability for his actions would never be demanded.
On February 12, 2002, the trial began. Milosevic defended himself, but Milosevic died before the trial concluded. On March 11, 2006, Milosevic was found dead in his prison cell from a heart attack. Finally, two bonus clips. President Joe Biden says he thinks Russia President Putin is a war criminal. He has also called him a thug and a butcher. Here's Biden on the campaign trail, Las Vegas, October 20th, 2018, talking about President Donald Trump. A few months earlier, Trump met Putin in Helsinki.
Ladies and gentlemen, the world is watching. Look what happened. President stands up for the whole world to see, standing next to Vladimir Putin, who I know well. He is a thug. No. He's a dictator and he's a thug. And guys, he stands there and he takes Putin's word before he takes the word of our own intelligence committee.
And much more recently, March 26, 2022, after meeting with Ukrainian refugees in Warsaw, Poland, President Biden said this to a reporter.
You know, you're dealing every day with Vladimir Putin. I mean, look at what he's done to these people. What does it make you think?
He's a butcher. That's what makes me
Did you make additional commitments?
Thank you, guys.
That's it for this episode of C-SPAN's The Weekly. A reminder that you could do your own searches in the C-SPAN video library. Look up U.S. policy toward long-ago European wars like Bosnia or the war happening right now in Ukraine. Just go to cspan.org and use the search bar on top, all for free. Thanks for listening and happy searching.